Got kind of funky music today going. Welcome to Philo, episode 44, the Bluetorium. Today we have my co-host, which is Robin Fisher. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Robin's in her ice tent, enjoying a joint and stuff. And then my guest artist today is Robin Whelan, or Chuck Whelan from San Francisco cartoonist who will be working traditional today in actual ink and various other random kind of like arty type things. And so yeah, I think it'll be a good time overall. Let's review where we left off in the story. And here, I'll do this. I'll put it in one big media there. Okay, so we happen to be like right at a position where there's only one panel left on this page. So I'm just going to show the page. And so we left off not last comic, but the comic before last with Meow going, "Get out of my lair." And so the mushroom underground saves the day, and they, cart Philo out of there. And they start, it's the start of the mushroom rebellion, and you can see the dogs leading the rebellion, and there's Philo. And then the mushroom underground start to absorb each other because of how mushrooms work. And so Philo, once he's free, he's like, "Screw you guys, I'm going home."
Okay.
And we had quite the argument on the show about whether or not the dog should live and stay. Mutant Fox says,
Don't kill the dog. That was, I watched the first season of American Big Brother.
Yes.
And somebody killed a chicken or something. Maybe, I can't remember which show it was. They killed a chicken. That was they were doing quite well up to that point, but no.
Yeah, see,
don't kill the animal.
See, Chuck would have been on my side. And so, yeah, so the dog comes with him.
Yeah.
And then, I actually transposed these ones. These ones are out of order.
You can do it if it's like Old Yeller or something, and it's like the dog has had a long... Yeah. What was that? I like that one with Jennifer Aniston and Luke. What are they?
Owen Wilson, that Marley and Me.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Like about halfway through that movie, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Yeah. Oh no. And it's based on a book too, and the book is like the book hits harder.
There's
yeah.
There's this YouTuber in Canada. He's from Ottawa, and he does a lot of videos about like how dogs react to things. So like if a robber was robbing a Great Dane, how the Great Dane would react.
Yeah.
And he did a bit where he met the author, not the real author, but he's like meeting the author, and they're like getting along, and I'm an author, and then they're talking, and everything's really great. And he's like, "What did you write?" "Oh, Marley and Me." And he goes, "Proud of that, are you? You're proud of that?"
So a lot of people very upset.
So what happens basically is Armand and all of the Philos are plotting the return of Philo in the war room, and Blutos are in Bluto jail. They're in the Bluetorium. I got to reverse these panels. These are out of order. So that is a problem on my end. I need to fix. So yeah, don't you guys worry about that. But yeah, I will fix that when I get a chance. So yeah.
All makes perfect sense as usual.
Now, what I think is pretty interesting about this is in the Bluetorium, you have a ton of nefarious people hanging out together.
Well,
do you think that makes them smarter and better and they can plot their escape? Or do you think they're just collectively a bunch of idiots?
I think they're probably, I don't know. I imagine that, well, okay.
He doesn't have many redeeming features, does he? I mean, like maybe his only.
Oh, but he can revel in his clever evilness.
He's stupid to know how bad he is. That's like maybe his only redeeming.
But I'm just saying, like, do you think he's just like cluelessly mean, or is he like going to be conniving and narcissistic about it? And now that they're all together, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Yeah. I mean, aren't they going to start infighting pretty quickly?
So what you're saying is it a bad thing that all the Blutos are together?
No, it's what they're going to do. Is it going to be a bad thing?
they'll set out to do something together, and they'll have a power of all being together, and they'll be feeling very happy, and then it's quickly going to sort of self-devour itself. But
Well, there we go. We've written some of the story, haven't we?
Okay. So, do you want to take first panel, or do you want me to take it?
Is this the first panel or the last panel of the last one, or it just doesn't really matter?
This is the first panel of this episode.
This episode, yes. Right.
Yes. So where we are leaving off is basically the Blutos are in jail. This is your leave off point.
All right.
Well, yeah, I just did them out of order. I'm sorry. Kay and I numbered them the same, and so I just placed them out of order. But once I saw them, I realized that it was my fault. So yeah. So you want to be panel 1 then?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I shall be panel 2. Okay. So if they are all together, are they plotting?
So they've all been put into Bluto jail.
Yes, they're in the Blutorium.
The Blutorium. So that's where you put. That's like Arkham Asylum for Blutos.
Yes,
yeah.
I imagine so. Yes.
Arkham Asylum. How apt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who runs this institution?
But now I have an image of like a Joker Bluto and a Scarecrow Bluto and a Two-Face Bluto. You know, a Poison Ivy olive oil.
That would be pretty excellent.
Yes, but I don't
know. Poison Ivy olive oil is running the Blutorium.
Yes, like a Nurse Ratched.
Yeah, she's like Nurse Ratched. Nurse Ratched olive oil, and she's going to end up becoming like a supervillain.
So that would make her Harley Quinn, right? Because she was Dr. Quinzel.
Yes,
in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, she's going to become some sort of supervillain. We determine how she's going to become. So I'll just do her now, like olive oil, as Nurse
Ratched. I think I like that visual of olive oil as Nurse Ratched.
Nurse Spatula does her rounds. What are we calling her? Nurse Spatchet.
Nurse Ratched. Nurse. I don't know. Oiled Ratchet.
Ooh, oily Ratchet.
Oily Ratchet, says Ian. He doesn't even know what we're talking about.
Hey, so I'm just curious because I've noticed now in the dialogues that a couple of people are paired. Like, I know obviously Planet Earth is chalk, but what does paired mean? Who's Pine Fox?
Oh, Pine Fox is what that means is that Chuck is also sharing this through his channels as well. And Pine Fox is watching it through Earth Space and not through ArtGlitch.
Oh, hi, Pine Fox.
Yeah, so hi, Pine Fox.
Joining us again. Hi, thanks for coming back. Yeah.
And hello from Arizona from Mutant Fox as well. Hello.
Yeah. Oh, I said hi to Mutant Fox a while ago, and so Mutant Fox came in through ArtGlitch. So, okay, so we have the Blutorium, and we have an olive oil Nurse Ratched there.
So I'm just going to do the character there. It's going to be like Nurse, whatever we're calling her, Nurse Spatchet does her rounds. Or Nurse, what are we calling her? I mean, I'm open to suggestions there. Yeah, you said good thing.
I like oiled Ratchet.
Oiled Ratchets.
Yeah, because she's olive oil, and then she's, it's Nurse Ratchet.
Okay,
right?
Well, her family was olive oil, like they were castor oil was her brother. It was more about castor oil earlier on. Like she was castor oil's sister. She went out with ham gravy.
Yes.
And then at some point, like Popeye, they hired Popeye to take him on a boat when they were looking for the Wiffle hen.
And he took over the whole damn strip.
And he took over, yes. And then, like, Ham Gravy got phased out. That's the bit I like the best, is that Ham Gravy, who was, like, sort of, he'd been the sort of main character in the strip with castor oil and Ham Gravy. And, he was sort of wooing olive oil for a long time and not getting anywhere. And then very quickly he's phased out in favor of Popeye.
Mm-hmm. Well, the same thing happened in Blondie, too. I mean, they even kept the same name, but she got phased out, and we all became about her husband, Dagwood.
I never got that, to be honest. I think the trouble is...
Well, it's because of Dagwood's decision to give up all of his money to be with Blondie. And
that's the main thing. He gave up his money to be with her.
He was from a millionaire billionaire family, and she was from just a middle class family.
Oh yeah,
and his family wanted nothing to do with hers, and he never had to work a day in his life. And so he gave up all of that to be with Blondie. He loved her so much. And so part of the humor of it, and why there was workplace humor in the Blondie strip, was because it was his first reactions with having to work for the first time, when he was from a privileged class with a silver spoon in his mouth. Hello again. How you guys doing today? Says Pine Fox. Again. Okay. So, so what happens after?
Was drawing Blondie for a while. I don't know if he's still doing that.
What happens after we have we have Nurse Ratched?
I've got to decide how much she's Nurse Ratched versus much. So I'm just going to say she's doing her rounds.
Okay.
She's like,
and she catches them conniving.
Okay, so she's doing her rounds, and then in my panel, she catches them conniving.
Well, I kind of see her as like just surprising them. That's the panel.
Okay. So she's catching.
So then in your panel, it should be explaining what they're conniving to do. What
their plan was.
Yeah, like what she can see, right? Like what's obviously happening in front of her.
Well, I imagine it would be a plan to escape the Blutorium.
Should it be like a big piece of paper on a wall?
Well, I was thinking like a map spread out with like little drawings and stuff of like how they're gonna get out. Yeah, exactly. And so let's see. The Bluto's plan is revealed.
I would like one of the Blutos to be quite distinct, have one piece of distinctive look about him. Because I have plans for this Bluto later in the story.
You are making plans for a Bluto.
Yeah. Okay. But like, so I don't know, give him a mole or something. Anything distinctive that sets him apart from the other Blutos. He's got glasses. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Just like in your panel of Blutos, one should have one distinctive touch about him.
My Huion pad's not working. My little thingamawits.
Oh no.
Oh, it's okay. I still have my keyboard.
Or you could go traditional like Chuck.
I could, but then I have to reset up everything.
Yeah, and you've got to get to all that. It's taken me a while to get to like where it's still kind of all higgledy-piggledy. It's hard to I mean, it's because but I've reasonably got it set up now. Takes a while.
Hey, so Chuck, you're wearing a pussy hat?
Well, I'm quite proud of this hat. I was at the art show showing some art. I had some of my pieces from my Earth Space Beyond things, some of the ones I had left, and I was showing them up on the walls. And I had some of my books, and I had Earth Space Heroes. And so they came up to me, a young person towards the end, and asked me if I wanted to trade Earth Space Heroes but they said they only had a pink pussy hat. But I was like, oh, that looks great. I'll take that. I took that. I'm glad that they wanted my book for this hat.
That's pretty cool. That's a good trade. When it happened, I was so excited. I thought it was amazing, and I knew a lot of people that were making them, but I didn't know how to knit at the time. And then a couple of years later, I taught myself to knit, and it was one of the first things I did was make myself one of those hats. And it's really funny because I wore it today for the first time in like months, in years, because I didn't wear it last year. Yeah, I just wore it today outside. It's so weird that you're wearing it. But the thing is nobody up here remembers what it was. And I have to like explain it to people. And I'm just like, was I the only, like, there were lots of women in Canada that wore them. They weren't like, it wasn't just an American thing.
What are you doing with her hair?
Well, I'm doing sort of Nurse Ratched hair. She's got this kind of weird hair. But...
Okay, because that kind of looks like...
They're like weird victory rolls in the movie, right? They're like victory rolls. They're like those big...
I don't really know. Like, I guess it sort of goes close together. I'm sort of studying.
It looks like you're doing Gary Oldman and Dracula.
It is. A bit
how he had those big white dome things.
That's what I was thinking, actually.
Oh yeah, well maybe that's where he got it.
It's like, oh, it's kind of like,
Nurse Ratchet, olive oil cat.
She has a guy in a bow tie behind her. She has a guy with a sort of kind of tall afro in a bow tie behind her.
Does he have a clipboard?
Who does she have in Philo though?
Oh. Maybe that's the distinguished Bluto that I'm hoping for.
This is the distinguished Bluto. All right.
He's the house Bluto, not necessarily. He's a prisoner, but he's trusted, right? He gets to be a secretary to.
Yeah, and he's wearing a little bow tie.
Are you saying that he's an Uncle Bluto?
He's just. I think this guy in this reference I'm using. I don't know if you can see it. He just looks like he's doing his job. He's being paid.
Yeah, he's just an orderly.
Yeah.
But this Bluto is like one of those trusted prison guys. You know what I mean? He's her secretary.
He does look a bit happy. He looks a bit happy, this guy.
You know, the FBI agent that has to like go over my search history and stuff like that is probably like, oh my gosh, she's working on Philo again. Like, oh jeez.
Well, I hope they
She's
listen to the whole
searching
thing.
for Blutos again.
Well, he's not looking very Bluto-ish. All right, I'm going to go back to the Bluto olive oil reference again in a minute. So, okay, he's got this sort of pose where he's got his fingers in his pockets. Actually, that's kind of interesting.
You know, she has surprisingly large hands.
How do you decide whether you're going to use, like, right now you're using like a red pencil, right? Versus like say a blue pencil, because I've seen that as well.
Okay, so many years ago, I would use the blue pencil. I had blue pencil. That's what you're supposed to use, non-photo blue. But one day, I didn't have any blues, and I just had some other colors, and I was using different colors, just for experimenting, really. And then I suddenly I used red one day, and then it completely disappeared when I dropped the red channel out. Like, this is just a red checking pencil. And I realized that red on an RGB computer, on a scan, if you just sort of like go in the channels and you just click on the red just vanishes much cleaner than blue ever does. Blue always leaves a little bit of a ghost.
That's really interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Thank
blue.
you. I'm always trying to interest people in that fact, Robin. You're the first person.
Blue came out of photographing art because blue would disappear when you photographed art.
Yes, I think yes.
That's
In
why it was called
photography,
non-recoverable.
it probably that I'm sure that was the truth. Yeah. And I remember doing like some of my first job. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my first job I worked. We still had a photostat machine for making photomechanical transfers, because like a photocopy there was a photocopy machine, but it wasn't considered good enough quality for like a paste up, because we were still doing like a paste up mechanical. So you might have to enlarge or reduce something, in a tiny little dart room with fluid.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. That was much harder. Everything was much harder. I was like, I'm glad computers coming. I mean, we had the computers too, and they were on the way already. I just learned that when I was there too.
I know, and now all the whippersnappers. Okay, so what should be on this map?
Yeah, those whippersnappers. No, I'm quite happy. The whippersnappers are good.
I just envisioned a lot of dashes and some X's.
Sorry, I love all generations.
Yeah, but whippersnappers is a really fun word to say.
It is, yeah. But I like the current kids. I think the kids are all right myself.
Do you say that having any kids in your life?
I walked past like two large groups of them, and it was like, oh, they look like they were time travelers from the future who'd been told to wear sort of stereotypical clothes of what like the current kids are all wearing.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of them are just amalgamating all the fashion styles of the last 120 years.
Yeah, they were sort of all over the map in the group.
Yeah.
They were all still within like, okay, that's that. They're all like being very cool to their generation. I love it. They got some good styles going on, and they like their comics and things. So it's
I've been really lucky. There's this kid at work. He's not a kid, but he's a kid to me. He's like 20, 21. his parents never let him watch TV or play video games. And so he reads a lot. And I guess his uncle got him into superhero comics. But he has like no idea about anything. But he's really smart and cultured, you know? So the first thing I did was I was at a used bookstore and Black Sad was there, and one of the Black Sads. And I was like, this is a crime. So I went and grabbed that for $8 and gave it to him, and he was just like, what the fuck? Like, he was just, I had no idea. And so then I was like, all right, Watchmen, because you've been reading superhero comics this whole time, you are the perfect audience as an adult male who just turned, you know, like 21. You gotta read The Watchmen. And it's so funny because I've never had a chance to say that. Like, even though I've worked in comic book stores tons, The Watchmen requires a certain kind of person to get the depth and the layers. Like, you have to be raised on superhero comics or you just won't understand the nuances of it, right? You can't just go, this is the best comic ever. You're going to love it. And you've never read a superhero comic before, so you just don't.
No,
there's so much you're missing.
They reinvented superhero comics. So they sort of read it now. And they're a bit like, okay, because all the comics, like all the Marvel, all what they're doing in Marvel really sort of came from that change that he brought about in Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yes.
Then that sort of, those guys that had worked on Judge Dredd in 2000 AD, you know, they had came over and had a big influence on American comics. But then, you know, they'd grown up reading
those.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's like, you know, that was a bit like the British invasion of comics or whatever. But like, well, that's done. And now what? Yeah. Alan Moore's come out with his big book of magic, which I got, which is very I'm reading through it. He's having a lot of fun, and he's really, I got to get to the end and see what he's saying. But I think most of it I've heard him sort of say in one form or another.
So here's something I want to posit to you, because do you think he might be our generation's Shakespeare? And I say that because there's nobody I can think of that has quite the breadth of style of storytelling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he does comedies, he does tragedies, he does these serious dystopian ones, he does, these fantastical, superhero ones. Like, he has so many different styles.
He's taking the stories that already exist.
Miracle Man.
Taking his twist on them.
His take on Captain Marvel when he did Miracle Man. Holy crap.
I should read that one. I haven't read that one. I've read that.
No, that's a good one.
It's incredible. Like, he said, okay, if there really were these people that had these powers, and this is before he ever did Watchmen or anything like that. He but he was asking these questions. Yeah. And they take over the world, right? And they change society, and then there's religions that pop up around them. And then, it's like he asks these questions and he tries to answer them. Like, what would really happen if there's these people that like don't age, right? If they just choose to stay super all the time and never transform, right? And it's just it's an interesting story and very dark.
Yeah, he's really like that's what I heard them saying about Shakespeare recently, that like part of what he does is like he's sort of the first one to put an idea down, and once you've had an idea, it's really easy for someone else to have that idea. And Alan Moore actually talks about that a lot, like having ideas. I mean, he sort of talks about magic is like art is this sort of way of transmitting an idea into the sort of physical realm, and that literally is magic. Magic is art, but there's always other. There's a history of it all as well.
God, that man knows so much. It's crazy.
It's also explaining a concept of something to somebody else you're never ever going to talk to.
Yeah.
Right. That is magic, right? That because you agree on the phonetic structure of like, air passing between our throats, and then you agree on symbols that equal that, put in order that equal certain other things. Language.
Yeah, and then somewhere else on the other side of the world, they have a whole different set of symbols in a whole different order that mean the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I think that's crazy.
One thing Alan Moore said was that you know, he came along. He sort of found comics, like he loved comics as a kid. He sort of grew up reading all the comics and loves it. And then he sort of, you know, he sort of thought that he started working in it because he loved it. But he sort of thought there's no one, you know, there was so much scope. He saw so much scope to do so many more.
Yeah, so much freedom.
He saw it like as a blank canvas to do
Yeah.
a lot of things. You know,
And no one controlling you. I mean, you can do whatever you want with. No one can stop. Like right now, Chuck, you can draw anything you want. There's nobody going to tell you that, oh, you shouldn't do this and you can't do that. Like if you were making a movie or if you were writing a book or you had an editor, you know what I mean? There is a hell of a lot of freedom in comics.
Yeah.
I'll second Alan Moore being our generation's Shakespeare, says Mutant Fox.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's funny with this kid, what I was going to do. What I was going to do with this kid is my next book I was going to give him was Batman Year One by Mazzucchelli. And then I was going to give him Asterios Polyop by Mazzucchelli, again, to show him, like, this is how amazing comics are. But then I was like, you know what? No, I need to give him the best of Alan Moore. Like, I can't just give him The Watchmen and not give him V for Vendetta to read, not give him From Hell, not give him... like right now, the next one I'm going to give him is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because he's read so many books. He's going to know all those characters. And I already told him the premise and he was just like, this is awesome.
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is greatest in its totality. You know, like as he kept going and got into all the Nemo stories and all this stuff, the Burning World, like the further off, the crazier he got, the better it got, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that Nemo stuff.
Okay. I know. I know it's like... It's totally his commercial, like most commercial stuff, but I heart his Swamp Thing.
No, that's his most commercial stuff, though.
It's his most commercial stuff because he was under. Oh, hi, F Means Photography. F Means from the web creative community and stopping in and saying hi. And so,
nice to meet you.
I say that it's his most commercial stuff because he had an editor. He had to work with an artist that was like half rewriting his stuff at the time, and he was on tight deadlines, and he was within the DC system. It was before he did Watchmen, right? And so Watchmen was like his critique of superheroes, but he had to like work on superheroes before that. I guess my raid didn't work. That's okay. That's okay.
We got one person.
Yay!
The story that really made me like go, oh, who wrote this? Was one that he did, which I saw in a reprint in sort of 2000 AD reprints that they were doing, like in the sort of early 90s, I guess, or late 80s when I started reading it. I guess I was reading it from the early mid 80s, but yeah, so and it was one of the reprint ones, and it was called Time Twisters, and it was sort of just a short, like they would do sort of future shocks. It was a bit of a longer future shock, but sort of 7 or 8, 6, 7, 8 pages, something like that. And then it was like what do you call it? Dragnet, Sergeant Joe Friday or whatever. And it's like a little, they're time travel cops. And they're getting into a sort of muddle of like within these 6 pages. It's like a sort of so perfect story of them sort of going around and doing a time travel and sort of coming back and meeting themselves and hiding themselves. And you're sort of thinking, oh, what happened? Playing with time, which is what he does. And that one, like, that was amazing. So after that, we
haven't even touched on the Ballad of Halo Jones.
And Halo Jones, I had all those. I sort of read that many times. I really love that. That was amazing. Yeah, there were several parts of that. I keep wanting to read it again. Actually, I haven't read it for a while.
One of my favorite stories that he did is in one of the Pete Bag hate issues. He did the story of the Kool-Aid Man. Alan Moore wrote it and Bag illustrated it, and it was sublimely hilarious.
Oh wow, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
At one point, he's like, "Don't even talk to me about that Jones guy."
Now I got a question. Like, was he paid by Kool-Aid? Was this just a
No, this was a Fantagraphics comic. It was a parody. It was just decided to do the biography of the Kool-Aid Man. Pete Bag does this great comic called Hate. It came out in the 90s. It's a very 90s grunge comic about a low-life guy named Buddy and his crazy girlfriend. And his best friend trying to meek an existence out in Seattle. He draws a really crazy sort of wonky wobbly. The arms are like all over the place, and the faces are like. But he has a really great distinctive style, Pete Bag, and I love Hate. Hate was a great comic, and it's still going. I think, yeah, he's publishing it still. I swear to God, I saw that like Buddy's like a Republican now or something. I'd have to. I have no idea. I have to do more research. It's been a while since I checked it out, but the Kool-Aid story is hilarious because it's just like this guy. He's upset. He's just telling you his story, but it just happens to be the Kool-Aid Man. And it was written by Alan Moore.
Have you ever read the comic Three Fingers?
No.
By
I can't. I'm not gonna get up and go grab it right now. I have it. I don't remember who it's by offhand, but what it is it's a parody of Mickey Mouse and why cartoon characters have three fingers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's done documentary style. It's very good. I highly recommend it.
All right, but now you give me an idea for a show called Challenge Amber, which based on the show they used to have in England called Challenge Annika, where they made this woman Annika Rice. Like they had an hour, and there were some people at home, like in the studio, like a family, like 3 people in a little team, and they had like maps and books and some clues. And Annika would have to get into a helicopter, and they'd have to say, "Oh, Annika, go here and go there," and she'd have to get in the helicopter and fly here and run around and run.
Oh, okay. I thought they were putting in a helicopter to get her out to not hear the clues.
Yeah, no. Yeah, she'd have a headset and she could hear the clues.
Okay.
I Magic Marmot.
Like, get out of the studio and into a helicopter.
And they'd be looking in the book saying, "Oh, you got to find the
How is Omega Con, Magic Marmot?"
That'd be a good format for Amber, where we sort of tell Amber we have you quite so ambitious.
Challenge
we work
Annika.
up to a helicopter. You could just have to.
Wow, lucky Magic Marmot. He's in a spa tub.
Yes.
I need to get my other phone so I can order my chai so I can stay awake, and then I'm also gonna get my pussy hat so that I am in solidarity with Chuck.
Okay.
I'll be like 5 minutes.
That is perfectly okay. You are allowed to do such things. I hold you not as a prisoner yet. No. Okay. Let's see. Let me change the density. It's not so dense.
My friend's called Annika. She doesn't really like it when you refer to that show.
Here, we'll do that. No. Like that. Ah.
It's good. And then they had, after her, after she left, they had Annabelle Croft do it. And she was much better. Actually, I think that was the inspiration for Tomb Raider. Because no, she wasn't Annabelle Croft. Annabelle Croft was in Tomb Raider, but they had Annabelle someone took over. The show was called Treasure Hunt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, or something. I can't remember. Challenge Annika was another thing. I can't remember. There was all these different ones. But yeah, Annabelle Croft, who went in the helicopter after Annika, was pretty much the basis of Lara Croft. Yeah, Lara Croft. Yeah, she was Annabelle Croft, and she'd been a tennis player. And yeah, Lara Croft was really obviously Annabelle Croft because she sort of got in a helicopter and sort of went running off. And Annabelle Croft had, she was, I kind of liked her better than Annika Rice.
I used to play those games when I was a kid.
I played Tomb Raider 2. That was the only one I really played through, but I did enjoy it. It was good.
Yeah, well, they were interesting because they were some of the first 3-dimensional games. So, it's like you had to like turn around and look at the space and stuff. And they were platformers, but you had to like line up your jumps perfectly or you just plummet into nothingness. And that was my problem, is I plummet into nothingness.
I quite like sort of puzzle games, like it's sort of like Myst and Riven, and there was another one like that I really liked. There was quite a good one. It was more obscure, but like I used to like those. So it had a lot of those elements. It was a bit more thoughtful than run and shoot. Like if you put your gun at, you've got your gun out, you had to really think of what you were pointing it at and aim it quite carefully.
Did you ever play the game Descent where you were like the little ship going through like another ship in space.
I like that one. I had that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a cool one. I wish they'd make more of those.
Yeah. Oh, they used to have one back in the old Spectrum days called Elite. It was like very early. And this thing,
now it's called Elite Dangerous, and it's amazing. And
is it? Okay, yeah. I wondered.
yeah.
I got something that was called Galaxy on Fire. That was quite a lot like Elite that I played for a while. But in the early days, like Elite was so great. It was so annoying. It was really hard to park your spaceship. But
well,
once you'd mastered parking your spaceship, you could have a lot of fun. But it was really hard to figure that out.
Elite Dangerous has it so that you know, when you first start out, you don't like have anything. You have to learn how to park your spaceship and stuff. But I like to play it on console, so it's not too bad. And Magic Marmot says fun, relaxing. But yeah, I like to play it on consoles, so it's not too bad. And yeah, it's cool. It's fun. Like you're basically just a space trucker. You're taking loads from one place to another. You're dropping them off. You're picking up a load there, and you're flying somewhere else. It
was more magical back in those early days.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
Was quite hard to use it, and it was different from other games. That there seemed to be quite an expansive world. There was like this whole galaxy, and you never knew quite what you were going to explore, what the limits of it were.
Yeah.
Which is hard in a video game to like really think, there's sort of some, there's no limits to it in a way.
Well, Elite Dangerous, which is the sequel to Elite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earth Space Trucker says Aston Martin.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So Elite Dangerous, it's cool because they have things like aliens in it now, and there's all kinds of like. I don't think you can get up and walk around the space stations now, but as the space stations has grown, because it's a multiplayer game now, like you can encounter other players and you can talk with them and trade with them and other things.
Yeah.
Like you can see space stations grow, and you can see like whole communities grow. You can get down on the surface of a planet, and you can ride around in a little rover now. Mutant Fox says, question for everyone. What do y'all think of Dave McCain's artwork on Arkham Asylum, A Serious House? Do y'all think it helps tell the story, or does its style distract from it? And then how heavily tied to the game is that comic, or vice versa?
I liked the art in the book. I liked a lot actually when it came out. It was quite different, but I was quite into like Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah. I feel like
I always call him Billy the Sink. Where am I? Am I not there? Damn.
Okay. Only very tangentially you can
see
some of its bones, but a different story.
I call him Billy the Sink.
Let's see. Thank you. I've always wondered that. Okay. For me, I feel like you can have multiple ways of telling a story and stuff. Like I feel like I couldn't read an entire comic that's like that, but if it's a short story in an anthology, I can read that, right?
Yeah.
And it just depends on the length of it, because it is very experimental. It's not a bad thing. It's just it's one of those where I don't like having to interpret art.
Like, but you sort of get into it when you read it. It's like, yes, there's a bit of a sort of barrier to entry in that you have to figure out the sort of language. But then once you get going, I mean, that's what I found with Electra Assassin. Are
you done with your panel?
It was fantastic. Yeah.
Hi, Tangent. Are you done with your panel? Hi, Tangent.
Really? Yeah, I'm just making it a square now.
Heading to bed. I work tomorrow and I'll get up in a little over 8 hours, but I figured I'd lurk in the meantime. Oh, thank you. So you get a view. I picked up some old DC Romance comics today, plus some unopened Millie the Model Marvel comics. Ooh.
I've got a bunch of those, and I love DC Romance comics. I have a bunch of those too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they were drawn pretty well.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my sister would get some romance comments from time to time, so I would read them. I've read some.
Are you doing a wash?
Well, do you think I should? I was just thinking about I was gonna do a little background or something. Yeah.
Okay, if you're gonna do a wash, then I'll pick up panel 3 then. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking I was just maybe do it in black and white. You want me to do a wash?
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's just I just didn't know what you were doing. Like I'm trying to time my stuff.
Well,
Power out, Robin.
You figure it out. Let me know because I don't know.
No, it looks like you have some more time on that panel, and I'm done with my panel. So
yeah. Get on with the next one. Yeah, that's what we're saying. Get on with it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do.
No.
So.
Magic moment. I'm in my ice hut. Speaking of, I brought my hat. So here's my pussy hat that I knitted. I'll put it on.
Ooh, they gave me a pretty good deal. I got 8 comics for $10.
That's a really good deal on romance comics, although it depends on the condition. Hey, Jack, look.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, there's your pussy hat.
Oh yeah. Hey.
I made it. I did it with my own 2 hands.
Well, that's even better.
Canadians in solidarity.
Woo! Okay, so what happens after the Bluto's plan is revealed?
Oh no, Starbucks closed on me and I'm sad.
Aw.
But I got a Chinese milk tea, so I should be wide awake. And a Pepsi, so I'll be awake. Let's see what happens next. Well, do they shut her up, or does she join them? Like, those are the options, I figure. Or does she rat them out?
Do they kidnap her?
Well, they've always had a thing. They've always had a thing for her since the beginning of time.
Chat. What is their plan, says Magic Marmot? Should we focus on the plan? Should we have a focus on the plan and just the plan? I always feel like those hats look more like Kirby or something.
True. I could have done a better job with the ears. All I did was make like a rectangle. But it makes the ears pretty nice. But I always think they look like Dobby from Harry Potter with those ears.
Dobby?
Dobby, yeah. Like that.
Dobby.
Okay, so should
Dobby,
we focus
whatever.
On
Dobby.
Should we focus on the plan then?
I don't know. This plan sounds boring to me right now.
Okay, so the plan sounds boring, but we don't know what the plan is because it's blocked. It is obscured by a Bluto.
So I guess we should not.
Yeah. Robin took off her hat. You took off your hat. Yeah, I'm taking off my hat. I can't talk. Yeah, I shouldn't talk about that lady wearing this hat. Sorry, JK, Robin. I like your book. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it.
Is he watching South Park?
No, it's the Fractured But Whole game.
Oh, okay.
Playing. Yeah,
But from this far distance, it looks like South Park.
Well, it's the game. Yeah.
Oh, the South Park game. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is Ian playing South Park?
Yes, he is playing Fractured But Whole. And so, yes, Harry Potter is in Canadian, says Magic Marmot. Okay, so let's talk about panel 3. Do we show the plan? Do we not show the plan? Do we tie up Olive Oil Nurse Ratched?
Well, I thought Olive Oil Nurse Ratched was going to become a major character. I thought she was going to run the Bluto home.
So then kidnap it is, because how else are they going to get her to come along? Unless she's evil too.
Like Harley Quinn.
I kind of like that as a caption is, well, kidnap it is.
Oh, Nurse Ratched Oil, you have no idea what you got yourself into.
Okay, I am going to steal that as a caption because I love it so, which is, well, kidnap it is.
Wait, so she's going to get kidnapped?
Yeah, she's going to get kidnapped.
That's not very, no. Yeah, well, I suppose it is olive oil. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, don't forget that, they are trying to escape. This could be part of their plan.
All right. Yeah. No, sounds good. Sounds like the sort of thing that should happen.
Yeah, well, kidnap.
Hey, so are any of you guys going to talk about the Tyson Jake Paul fight? That's all they were talking about at my work today. I just kept saying, I only watch Lennox Lewis. I am a boxing snob, and I only watch Lennox Lewis. And then I realized the first time I ever watched Trump on anything was when I watched Lennox Lewis on Celebrity Apprentice. It was the only reason I was watching Celebrity Apprentice. And then I watched the next season because Tom Green was on it, and I love him. He fucks everything up, and he's awesome.
Really, he normally upsets women. You don't mind me saying.
Who, Tom Green?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I love him. I've loved him for like 20 years. Like, I used to watch his cable access show. Like, my aunt, he made fun of my aunt on an episode. That was crazy.
He made fun of who?
My aunt.
Your aunt?
Yeah, it was bizarre. I had no idea she was on the show.
Wait,
and
Tom Green or Red Green?
Well, there's Red Green, which is another Canadian icon. Yeah. But no, I'm talking about Tom Green, the one who penetrated your shores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And married Drew Barrymore, who she's always making herself unpopular too, for one reason or another. I don't really understand these things.
He used to have a cable access show in Ottawa, and he got away with the craziest shit. And that parlayed his show on MTV, and that parlayed his relationship with Drew Barrymore and like that episode of SNL and all that other stuff. And now he does interviews in his basement, and he's considered quite respectable. And he still does stand-up. And, you know, when he was in Canada doing, even before his cable access show, he had a hip-hop album when he was like 18. And they were big. They had a huge hit in Canada. Check the O-R. You like it so far. They were organized rhyme. They were awesome.
You know, Hamill, the guy who created the show, loves Tom Green.
Tom Green's amazing.
So, like, he's like, you know, I like never really had an opinion about Tom Green, one way or the other. You know, I never really watched his shows or anything, and I was always kind of doing other stuff. He and I sat down and watched Freddie Got Fingered together.
Oh, that's not a good one to start with.
And he explained to me about, like, the main joke of this was the fact that he had this huge budget and this is what he spent it on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's
the cable access show was insane. There was one episode, okay, and this is Ottawa, the middle of winter, so northern Canada in the middle of winter. He sprayed down the whole audience with water. Then he rented a city bus, drove every single person in the audience home, and went into the house with them. He gets to the last house, it's 3 a.m. He breaks into this poor person's parents' bedroom and starts interviewing their parents. Like, at one point, one of the roommates wanted to beat the shit out of him because, again, he'd just woken up everyone in the house at like 2 a.m. to drop off this audience member. Like, that show was insane. He left a raccoon to rot for months and then decided to cut it open with a chainsaw on the TV show. He painted lesbians making out on his dad's car, and then when his dad saw it and wouldn't drive it to work, Tom drove to the bus stop and hounded his dad with the car painted lesbians painted on the car. Like, he was off the hook. He was amazing. He's amazing.
I don't know. I think I get him a bit muddled up with Andy Dick sometimes.
No, Andy Dick is a total asshole. Andy Dick has no boundaries. Tom Green did everything to himself. Like, I remember
watching some Tom Green and thinking he was funny. You know, and I don't remember on a Celebrity Apprentice. I did watch that. Like
I think he got fired because he went out drinking with Dennis Rodman the night before. Like, you know what I mean? It was like the dumbest reason. But anyways, I could go on about Tom Green for hours. I love him. But he was in Thunder Bay where my aunt lived at the time. And my aunt was insanely religious. Like, literally shelves and shelves and shelves of books of religious text. No fiction, nothing else. She wouldn't even let her children wear jeans. You know, like, she was a very strict religious person. And so I guess she worked at a church store.
Like that about Dungeons and Dragons, to be honest.
Well, not this lady, but she worked at like a church store where they sold, like, you know, votive candles and Bibles and stuff like that. I didn't know. I learned on the Tom Green show. So he's looking at this strip mall, and on one side is a strip club, and then there's like a store in between, and then there's this church store. So he goes into the strip club and he's like hanging out and he's like, hey, teach me some moves. And he gets the dancers to teach him some moves. And he's like, you think you'll hire me? And then, ah, ha, ha, ha. So then he goes to the church store and he starts talking to this woman. And I'm like, it looks like my aunt. And then she talks and I'm like, holy crap, that's my aunt. And he's like, I just learned how to strip. Do you want to see my moves? And he starts like humping the floor. And then money falls out of his pockets and he starts screaming about how like God's trying to steal his money. And so I took it home. I taped it off the TV onto a VHS. I took it home and showed my dad. And this is his older sister. She's like 13 years older than him. He's literally on the floor laughing. My mom, who's like only related to her in marriage, is mad. She's like, I want the number of this man who's making fun of your aunt. But he wasn't. He was making fun of himself. But like, and I was like, Mom, I am not going to be the girl who gets Tom Green sued. You can figure that shit out on your own. Yes, my aunt got Tom Green, says Aston Martin.
Yes. I don't know. I feel like that's like, it's certainly wasn't fun for your aunt.
I know, she was just laughing. And I mean, the thing is you can't do those kind of shows without signing a waiver. Like, he had to get her permission.
Abby wouldn't have tolerated that, would she?
I don't know. I think about those, like, the YouTube people that, they just bother people. And that's how they get views and stuff is, like the dude that just got shot. Right?
There was a dude that got shot?
Yeah. He was okay. As a YouTuber, he harasses people, right? He goes up and he just harasses them, and his buddy records him, and then he posts the video of him harassing them and getting people's reactions. Well, he was harassing this one guy, and the guy kept telling him to back off and stop, and then the guy shot him.
Right.
And so, and they're interviewing him stuff in the like hospital bed, and he's like, well, shit happens. It's like, oh,
shit happens.
Anyway,
it only happens if you encourage it like that.
What happens after Nurse Ratchet Oil gets kidnapped?
Yes, that is the question of the minute.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think their next move is to steal a car. So they all pile into the car, and there's 8 of them in this tiny little car, including oil in a bag.
Some accident has to happen to her to cause her to.
Why? Why does an accident have to happen to her?
So that she's going to get her superpowers.
Oh, we're giving her superpowers? I forgot about that.
I thought she was going to be like Poison Ivy. I thought this was the whole thing we were going down.
Okay. Well, it depends. Do you want her to be Harley Quinn, or do you want her to be Poison Ivy?
Just trying to drive something.
Because if she was like Harley Quinn, then it would just be like, acid or something similar. But if she was like Poison Ivy, wouldn't you want it to be some kind of tragedy involving nature?
Magic Marmot says infamy is still fame. Yeah. So,
infamy, they've all got it infamy.
He did this one episode where he invited Monica Lewinsky to Ottawa, and this was pretty much maybe a couple of years after the whole Clinton fiasco.
Yeah.
And he was like touting this whole thing about how they had this huge announcement to make. He took his parents out to dinner and with Monica Lewinsky, and they're like, Mom, Dad, there's something I want to tell you, they're just belaboring this. And in the end, what it was is he was helping her announce her new line of handbags. But the Canadian media was going batshit crazy, and he was just playing them like a puppet master. It was excellent.
All right, but Magic Marmot's got a good suggestion. She uses her olive oil powers to slip the ropes.
So then, how did she get those superpowers, though? Is there like a car accident like Daredevil, and she gets doused with acid? And she turns into...
I suppose it depends what she's going to turn into a little bit.
If she's going to turn into a slippery woman.
An electro person, she has to get electrocuted.
Maybe she accidentally got drowned into one of those oil tankers, She's
going to be oil. She's going to have oil powers.
Olive oil slick, exactly. Aston Martin got my vibe.
But she's also Nurse Ratchet.
Yeah, but at this point, I think the Nurse Ratchet has fallen by the wayside. She's in survival mode, and that's where her powers are coming out.
All right.
So Philo's just not in this.
Why not? Hey,
Yeah,
I think that's novel. We have yet to do that.
Philo has no personality. That's the.
Philo will show up next week.
I'm not quite sure what Philo's personality is. Like, all these things happen to Philo, but it doesn't seem quite. He's very chill.
Well, I don't know. He was like, okay, I'm going home. You know.
Like, okay, I'm gonna go. I just want to go back to making my dinner.
He's flying through time and space as we speak. It's taking a while.
Okay, so that's why we're focusing on the Blutorium for budget reasons.
Yes.
Well, I'm trying to transform Olive Oil into some new character.
Is she gonna have an awesome costume?
Yeah, like in an awesome costume. But okay, something's got to happen to her first.
I know. Okay, I look all trundling over to the car. They don't notice there's a giant oil slick under the car. They throw her in the back seat. The car blows up, and that's how she gets her olive oil powers.
Let's see. It could end with the reveal that Philo is reading a Bluto comic.
I kind of like that idea.
That's only quite good at this point.
Yeah. I'm kind of leaning towards Mutant Fox's.
And then he pulls out the comic and says, "I'm going to go and make some sausages." Or whatever he was doing at the beginning. He was doing something like that at the beginning.
No, he was in a rocket ship. at the
He's
very
back
beginning.
to making the bowl of pasta
Or pasta.
Back to
where we
pasta.
started.
Maybe I'll have
And
sausages instead.
And then it ends in pasta once more.
All right. I saw that.
I like the oil slick car explosion superpowers new costume. He's an impasta lobster.
And then pasta. Yeah. Do this. Ah.
All right. Well, first, she's going to use her oily powers to
Her
slip
oily powers.
into, but there'll be an oil slick.
But I thought this is what gives her oily powers. I thought she didn't have them yet.
She's got somewhat olive oily powers because she's olive oil.
She's just a slippery lady.
I mean, she can go.
Okay.
How does she talk? I love the voices in those old Popeyes. I think that's
Yeah.
voices.
You know, people give Robert Altman a lot of shit for that movie, but those Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall were pretty perfectly cast.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. And like after reading Popeye, I didn't really enjoy the movie anymore. But I don't know. Some people really love it. I don't know. Yeah, I know there's people that love it. So it's okay. I mean, that's all right. It's just like, I think it needs, it needed more. Like what I like about the early ones is that they're. Oh, where'd she go? They're in,
here. Oh yeah, Amber's not here. You're right.
They're in. I love the sort of rundown backgrounds when they're sort of in those Fleischer ones, right? They're always in a sort of.
But the Fleischer cartoons are always good.
World, which I love that world that they're in.
Like even the Fleischer Brothers Superman are awesome. Like the Lois Lane Supermans are so good. Those Fleischer Brother ones. So I
haven't looked at those for ages. Actually, they're great. Yeah,
they have good stuff. Is all I'm saying.
Very good. Yeah, I know. There's like I follow Fleischer Brothers on Instagram or whatever, and that's usually it's usually the best thing. But no one can take the time anymore.
You're absolutely right, because recently I had to do a eulogy on my friend Bernie. Bernie Moreau. And so I made it kind of like not like a review, but I went over his career, right? And when I was looking at those Grendels that he did, those 3 issues, The Devil Inside, have you read those?
Mm-mm.
They're awesome, first of all, but they were done in the 80s, and there's so much labor people put into comics back then. Like there's so much detail in the background. In his small panels, he'll have like random bricks, but it's there. You know what I mean? It's not just like washed over or some computer thing or just like shadows obscuring stuff so I don't have to draw it. You know what I mean? Like I was looking at it, I was just like, they really don't really make comics like this anymore.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's the thing. They like, that's it, isn't it? You do what you do, and then that's done, and then the next lot of people do something different, and you're like, well, you just got to get it done. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get it done. I'm trying to put myself on lots of deadlines of things and making myself do it. I started doing my comic again.
Well, you do that show on every Saturday morning, right? Like, so that's a really good kind of way to keep you to task.
Yeah, that's been good doing that. That's fun with Dale. That's like a little workout show. It's not quite as well organized as this show, but we're getting there. And
You're getting there.
I'm doing my cartooning and my drawing. People can follow me at Earthspace. Yeah, and I don't know what happened to Amber.
Yeah, me either. I don't know why I'm suddenly running the show now.
Probably.
All right, so you should be drawing. Start drawing. I'm pretending to be Dale right now. Start drawing.
Yeah, I'll leave the talking to you. Yes. All right. So they're
Philo with Robin. Yeah, I don't know what that's weird. Usually she says something. Oh, I think we found her. I saw a flash of something.
Oh, talking of Flash, I realized that Adobe animates. Adobe
Hi,
animates.
where were you?
Power went out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it a storm there?
No, just a flash of power going out. Give me a second. I'm making sure I got stuff up. And yeah, give me a second. Okay. Because I got to do extra camera. Sorry about that.
Right, Robin was just telling me all about her hunt for the Blair Witch there. I haven't found them yet.
Yeah, the Blair Witch, I'm looking for her quite diligently, but I keep getting distracted by Yetis.
All right, I'll put him in the main window.
do you like the Mighty Boosh? Do you know the Mighty Boosh?
Oh, of course. I just watched this guy, Silver Fox, make what is his name? Greg? No, what's his name? Greg.
Oh, Greg.
Oh, Greg, that's right. Yeah, this guy, Silver Fox, he makes all these amazing jackets and outfits, and he did this old Greg costume. He did a sexy old Greg, and he set up the whole intricacies underneath the tutu so that when he lifted the tutu, the flashlight went on.
Greg is sort of sexy.
But I really love Noel Fielding. There's this one segment in that what's that show with Jimmy Carr about cats, 2 out of 4 cats or whatever, where they're all being interviewed and they have to answer questions about what's happening around the world. And it was him and Richard Ayoade. You know who Richard Ayoade is?
Richard Ayoade.
Ayoade? Yeah.
Somebody. I don't know. Yeah.
They were partnered up together, and I can't remember. I'm so bad at remembering jokes, but at one point the two of them were just razzing Jimmy Carr. They were like, "It was your mom, right? It was your mom crying in Tesco's by the furniture. It was your mom." And Jimmy Carr was like, "You're bullying me." And the two of them were so hilarious together. I like Noel Fielding. I didn't see him initially in Mighty Boosh. The first time I saw him was in the IT crowd.
Yeah, he was in.
And then I saw the Mighty Boosh.
Yeah. I think I can't remember. Well, I probably did see the crowd first, but I didn't really realize until I watched it again that would be him. Yeah.
I bet also that you didn't realize that if you ever watch the IT crowd again, that if you look at their office, all the ephemeral is Fantagraphic stuff.
I'm getting distracted. I thought I was doing a pencil. Wait, I'm not doing that.
Anyways, I cut you off, Amber. You were saying something?
Oh, I was just reading Aston Martin's comments about the fact that you were going to host a prank show while I was gone. You're going to turn Philo into a prank show?
No, we were talking about many, many things.
That's a good idea.
You guys think Aston Martin? You think Richard Ayoade should be the next James Bond?
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Do it like Moss. No, I don't know. But he could do it straight though. He could do it well. But yeah, everyone would.
To me, he's like Inspector Clouseau. Like he's not to denigrate his intelligence. He's very smart, but like
he could probably do it. But
okay, listen. He looks and acts exactly like one of my ex-boyfriends. I was with a guy for a year who was exactly like him. The only difference is he was full on Japanese Chinese. There was no black in him at all. But like same black puffy jacket, same weird hair, same weird stuff in the pockets just in case you need. Like almost every mannerism that character in IT Crowd had was exactly like my ex Brad, and so like I can't see him as James Bond. I'm sorry.
He's like yes, yeah. I can believe that you have an ex who was just like.
I absolutely do. He's a very likable person and straight.
He is. Oh, I love watching him. He's so funny.
He is. He's so great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you know he was the director for the Heads Will Roll video by the Yeah Yeah Yeah?
Nope, I did not know that.
I had discovered that, and I was like, that is the weirdest, randomest fact ever. I don't think he's directed any other music. No, there may be a couple others. But he does odd stuff. He wrote a book. He wrote a book about a Gwyneth Paltrow movie.
He's got a movie that he directed about his growing up. That's quite good.
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
Oh yeah, he's not in it, but he directed it, and there's a kid in it who's like him, plays him, or like him.
That's really cool. I'll have to check that out. He's fantastic. I should shut my mouth because his James Bond might be really interesting.
Have you seen that other movie that's quite like Mighty Booshi that's got them in? Called what's it called? It's called something like Bunny or Rabbit or something. It's got like all the same sort of weird special effects as like in Mighty Boosh, like sort of creatures. It's sort of a movie. It's sort of a road trip, like somebody going and they leave England, they go around Europe or somewhat. But it's quite surreal, sort of. But it's all basic. It's sort of like the roots of all the Mighty Boosh.
Oh wow! No, I haven't heard of it.
I'll find it. It's got a weird name. Something. Actually, no.
Yeah. Oh, and now he's Googling.
Bunny and the Bull. Bunny and the Bull.
Bunny and the what?
Bunny and the Bull.
And the bull.
Bull, as in like a cow.
Oh, bull. Bunny and the Bull. No, I've never heard of that. Do I remember when?
Check that out.
What was his name in that show? Yeah, that's what the show is with Jimmy Carr, right? The big fat end of the year quiz where he always pairs up with Neil Fielding. That's funny. I think it's the big fat end of the year. Moss. Yes, you're right. It's Moss. Moss. He is pretty funny though. I also saw him in that cheesy movie he did with I think Jonah Hill is in it too, where they're all like dads, and I think it's like a parent watch.
Yeah, they're like alien hunters.
Yeah, and they end up stumbling across aliens and stuff. I saw that movie as well, just because he was in it.
That could have been so much better. I just don't know. That was just really disappointing. I felt like they just banged that one out.
Yeah, it was a little cheesy, but it was nice seeing him in something else.
So you're doing panel 4, Chuck, which means
I'll be right back. I'm getting my caffeine.
I would be doing panel 5 for the next one, correct?
All right, yeah. So I'm doing her sort of slipping out.
Okay.
By wriggling and kicking, I suppose.
Okay.
I'm just making it up as I go
along. That is kind of what artists do. We kind of all make it up as we go along.
I thought you had to have it all fully formed in your head, and then you just sort of take out your pen and it comes out like that.
Is that how art works?
Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
So what happens? What happens next after she slips out?
So she's going to end up in
get powers?
She's going to end up in a slick of oil. We haven't really thought this out. We didn't really do a whole writer's room thing. Oh, that's what that play I went to see last week. It was called Antipodes. And it was actually a very good play written by a woman who'd clearly been in writer's rooms. It was about being in a writer's room.
Yeah.
And they're all there, but it sort of goes a little bit surreal and off the rails. It's almost like they're in the apocalypse or something because it's a play. But yeah, it was a really great play, Antipodes. You would have liked it.
So she slips out. What's your caption?
And it was being put on by the Arc Theatre Company in San Rafael. It's like a new theatre company. Sorry, I'm saying that's what I think of it. If you're in San Rafael, go see a play.
what is your caption on your panel?
Nurse, is she called Ratchet Oil?
Yeah, I think Ratchet Oil.
Nurse Ratchet Oil uses her oily powers to slip out
So
of
good.
Rico's grasp.
Okay. All right. And then let's see. I'll stop talking about it, but this is the headshot I came back to visually to show what he would look like without the big hair, more clean but cut for the role.
Have you ever thought about getting a professional writer on this show?
No, the professional writers are my audience, and they're supposed to be helping. But they've just been, kind of. Well, I suppose Magic Marmot is enjoying his spa,
No,
so he is allowed to kind of lax off.
I'm enjoying my Chinese milk tea. It's so good.
I feel like you should get like a really good writer coming once in a while just to sort of straighten the plot out and fix any plot holes.
So what happens after she slips out? Right? Are we gonna just have are we gonna cut to Philo reading the Bluto comic?
You want to end it already?
Yeah, what happened to Nurse Ratchet Oil becoming like some sort of evil super?
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have an awesome costume reveal.
Yeah,
that's what I was hoping for.
So what? So she becomes one with the oil slick?
Sure, like Ink in Batman Beyond.
Ooh, I loved the design of Ink. Ink was so freaking cool.
Well, I don't know.
I got the Burger King toys of Ink because that was like the only toys they made during those freaking cartoons. They so horribly merchandised that series. They didn't do anything for it.
Yeah, they did. Well, and here's the thing, okay, is I want to say Batman Beyond was like, what, 2-3 seasons? The first season, the producers, pretty much left him alone. Bruce Timm and his crew got to do what they wanted. And then the second season, because the ratings were so good, Warner Brothers brought in all these producers to quote unquote make it better so the ratings could get better, even though the ratings were fine.
Yeah,
and so that's why and so that's why the writing got kind of off the rails the second season. Yeah. But okay, so what happens after
what about that new Batman?
Caffeine.
Yeah, okay, what happens? Well, yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, Ink from Batman. She's gonna become oil.
So she molds with the oil slick.
Yeah.
And becomes ink. And becomes oil ink.
Oil ink. That sounds kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Only ink is spelled I-N-C.
Ink in Batman was spelled.
No, I know it's I-N-Q-U-E.
Yeah, Q-U-E. Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying olive oil. It should be I-N-C, so we don't get sued.
Oh, I-N-C. Yeah.
Candy.
Okay, so.
Candy Coke bottles.
Okay, so nurse.
So there's a car nearby and there's an oil slick and she slips into that and then she turns into ink.
Yeah, Nurse Ratchet Oil.
Well, it's probably chemical oil.
Joins.
Okay, fine. Chemical X.
Because otherwise we've got to explain it. I don't know. Sorry. Give us some reason. 60 years from now, people are going to be making movies of this shit.
Yeah. I would feel so weird if it was it became where there's a lore and people are trying to stick the lore together and they're like, no, this is what this means. This is what this means. It's no, it's an improv show. It
means nothing.
Yes,
it means nothing.
It's an improv show. Okay.
It's
whose line is it anyway? Yes.
If there's any genre of kind of art that this is part of, would probably be Dada.
Yeah.
It's just kind of art for art's sake. We're just kind of doing cool stuff and sharing it with people.
You could call it a longer form of an exquisite corpse or a comic jam.
Yes.
Because we're creating panels, right? I always call it an interactive comic because the audience tells us what to draw, essentially.
Yeah. Da da da.
Yes, it's the audience's comic, so they're to blame.
Yeah, she glides down the hallway with the Blutos chasing her, but slipping and falling. Yeah, so
Okay, I'm just going to do a sort of mystery pipe leaking oil.
Mystery pipe leaking oil. Okay, so I'm gonna have
And the pipe
her like
says chemical X.
I'm gonna have her like fall over here, and then this is gonna be the leak. And
Hey, you guys want to learn an interesting fact about Pepsi?
Sure.
So apparently, when they decided to do those Pepsi taste tests, do you remember that time in our world, in our life?
Oh yes.
They won. Like 9 times out of 10, people were picking Pepsi. Everybody loved the taste of Pepsi. But then
It's sweeter.
what?
It's sweeter.
It is. But so Coke, in retaliation, decided to change everything and do new Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone got mad. And that's when they realized that it doesn't matter that everybody likes the taste of Pepsi better. It's the memories associated with Coke that they're paying for, that they like, that they prefer. And that's why Coke will never change. Ever again.
Yes.
Forever.
Or Hershey's chocolate, which apparently it was so far from the dairy that the milk used to go a little bit sour on the way to the dairy. And then so later, when they tried to make it with fresher milk, people complained. And they said, no, we want it made the way it was before, because people always want the taste they grew up with. So that's why Hershey's now make Cadbury's chocolate. They just, don't use the sour milk. And that's basically the difference. I mean, they literally, and if you grew up eating Cadbury's chocolate, you're like, what the hell is going on with Hershey's chocolate? It tastes like sick.
Isn't Hershey's what they gave everyone during the war? Like when the American soldiers were wandering around, they give all the kids the Hershey chocolate?
Well, they probably like it more, got used to it. I mean, after a while, you get used to it.
It was part of the war effort.
Now I quite like it. But
so in the United States, like everything went to the war effort. And so you have to understand, like the U.S. government went into the Hershey factory and said, you're making Hershey's chocolates for soldiers now. And the Hershey's factory said, okay. And they were making, chocolates for soldiers then. And then like Disney, they went into Disney and they're like,
fuck that.
Yeah, Amber brings it full circle. Freddie Got Fingered is seen as modern Dadaism as well. Yeah, you see? And then, now I'm thinking about Dadaism and Freddie Got Fingered. But
I just always thought Tom Green was absurd. That's why I love absurdity. I love absurd plays. I love absurdism. But yeah, Dadaism works too. That's fabulous.
Yeah, I can see that. I imagine that Olive Oil Inc. would be happy to be Olive Oil Inc.
Yeah, she doesn't seem like she gets a lot of power in the comics, so
she's not oil.
Maybe now she does.
Oil. She's Nurse Ratched Oil. She's got a lot of Nurse Ratched in her. She's more evil than Olive Oil.
That's true. She's
Nurse Ratched Oil. That's what I'm calling her. Nurse Ratched Oil. Melts with an oil slick and becomes ink. Nurse Ratched Oil Ink.
As much as I love Bluto and Olive Oil, I think we need to have our own characters.
Let's see.
That is a good point.
Thing I have. I don't know, some people don't care. That's alright if you're doing parody. But if you make it with Nurse Ratched Oil, then it's yours.
Well, one of the reasons why we did Bluto is because he's open domain, isn't he?
Yeah, he's public domain.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why so old?
Statute of limitations.
Yeah.
So
okay, that's fine.
Copyright in the United States, because of Mickey Mouse and the way that Disney has argued for copyright law, is supposed to be 100 years after the death of the creator, right? And so that's why Mickey Mouse Steamboat Willie just slipped in, because it's like, it's like, or no, it's 100 years after the initial creation or something like that.
I think it's
Yeah.
creator's life plus 75 years.
All I
something
know
to that
is
effect.
Anne of Green Gables is public domain, and Winnie the Pooh now is public domain.
Yeah.
But Disney Winnie the Pooh
is not. No, it's a A.A. Milne Pooh.
Disney never owned Pooh at all, and they never had all the rights to Pooh that they claimed at one point. So I don't know what happened. There must have been some big settlement there. But Pooh is still in the top money-making characters for Disney. You know, worldwide, Pooh makes more money than just about anything because people buy Pooh for the babies.
Do you know that Winnie the Pooh is Canadian?
I'm
yes.
sorry, I can't be there. Waiting on John Cleese to hit the stage. Bree and I talked to a puppet builder today. Might go forward with a giant gorilla suit.
In Canada, we used to have these commercials called Heritage Minutes. So things like we learned things like we were the inventors of basketball, and so with the story of Winnie the Pooh is there was a Canadian soldier and he found a bear. And when he was, I don't know if he was in England or if he was in Germany or France or somewhere, but he got it shipped to England and it was in the zoo. The bear's named after Winnipeg, Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba, because he was that's where he was from. And then that's the bear that A.A. Milne and his son Christopher Robin used to visit all the time at the zoo, London Zoo. Discovered and named by a Canadian soldier.
There, during World War II, I remember that the Polish had a bear that would help them stock ammo, and like, yeah, it during World War II, the Polish army had this bear that was like hanging out with some of them. Did I just lose Robin?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I'm
being
age appropriate.
Yeah, you were just in darkness. Okay.
Look, here's my ear. You can see I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and again, oh man, this is a cool brush. I'm gonna have to play with this brush more. Look at this brush.
Excellent. I love what you're drawing.
That's a nice brush, yes.
I'm sorry, I was just like, as an artist, I'm like, ooh. It's
time to play.
Well, it's interesting because really good digital tools mimic traditional tools well. Yeah, and so like really good digital tools.
I was in the mall yesterday because I had to do some stuff. I had to get some like clothes for work, and
they're making you wear clothes now.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to go naked anymore.
Damn.
No, I work at a butcher shop. I have to wear like a whole outfit of like a red baseball hat and white shirt with collar, black tie. I have like a red apron, and I can wear like a red sweater, a red hoodie. And actually, I was at Goodwill and I got a red hoodie, and it's a giant R, which is kind of cool for Robin. But underneath it says red coats. It turns out the red coats are like Governor Simcoe High School's football team up here in St. Catharines.
I don't know. I like the idea of this Robin Redcoat. I mean, assuming the red is to hide the blood that you're going to be dripping in.
Yeah.
She's Robin Redcoat. She's a vengeful redcoat dripping in blood. She's coming to take her revenge on those horrible Americans.
I was just thinking, I can't believe this team hasn't been canceled yet. You're taking the name of a bunch of colonists, redcoats. But this area that I live in is steeped in that kind of history, right? The War of 1812 happened all around here. Like there's, the famous Laura. I don't know if you guys know the story about Laura Secord. She's a Canadian hero. She warned the British that the Americans were coming. And she walked I forget the amount, but she walked, kilometers and kilometers and kilometers just to tell them. And she saved the day,
Wait, she walked kilometers and kilometers to help who? To
The British.
against the British.
Yeah.
To help the British, because
To help the British.
To help
Canada
the British. Yeah, I
was
gonna say, yeah, she
ruled
walked
by the
kilometers
British,
to help the British. But the British
and the
didn't go-
Americans were coming to invade
didn't go
and take
kilometers.
over Niagara Falls area.
Yeah, we're the bad guys in the story.
We burnt down the White House, okay?
Yeah.
Well, Americans are still doing pretty well in the World War II story. I was rewatching Dad's Army. That's good. As an old man who's got to fight Nazis, it's quite inspiring.
My grandpa survived D-Day and the Korean War.
Yeah,
I'm going to assume that he was actually in those events. He didn't just watch them on telly.
No, he was in those events. He was seriously. My grandfather, he passed away at 60 of cancer, but he lied about his age to get into the army, Canadian military. He was 16 when he was over in England fighting for the Canadian military. He actually a really cool story, but it's inappropriate for children. And apparently there's one watching, so I can't really say it. But
children's show. Thanks for remembering that.
Mutant Fox says, to be fair, the Americans have turned out to be the bad guys in the story quite a bit, and I can't argue with that. That is very true. Okay, so I'm looking at the time. It is 8:27. I got panel 5, and it looks like you're done, and so I think I'm going to call it a show there.
Yes,
because we're at a good spot.
We've had too much fun. If we go any longer, it'll be too much fun. And
the
okay. Okay, can I tell the story then? Can I tell the story? It's really, really good. Okay, so all right. So my great grandfather, which was my grandmother's dad, he bought a farm. Because in Canada, at the time of the war, if you had a farm, your sons weren't going to go off to fight because you needed them to protect, take care of the farm, right?
Yeah.
But what great-grandfather didn't realize is that grandma went to war. She joined the military and she became what they called a sweet pea. She was a secretary for the Canadian military, and she went over to London. And then grandpa, like I told you, he lied about his age, but he tried to get into the military the year before when he was 15 and he didn't succeed. His father dragged him back, and he was really lucky because everyone he signed up with that time went over to Hong Kong and died. So he's lied about his age and he's over there and he's going to fight. His sister is in a flat with grandma, and they get bombed out. So grandpa goes over to help his sister clean up, and that's when he meets grandma and they fall in love. I have this book that has all these it's like her little memory book where she's got all her ticket stubs and stuff of all the dances they went to and, the menus of those places and stuff like that. And in there is a little comic that he drew, just the one panel of her combing her hair in front of the mirror. And he's like, why women take so long to get ready. She's combing her hair. And on the back it says, I'm sorry the face is not an exact likeness. Even though I was close enough to it last night. Basically saying they were kissing, right?
Giving her a snog.
Okay, this is the best part of the story.
Well, we'll keep it clean. It's a family show.
No, this is the best part of the story. So it's the night before D-Day, and he's on leave with grandma because most of them got leave, right? Everyone was like, it's D-Day the next day. And he did have to go in for duty, but what had happened was...
Aston Martin says your grandpa had some game.
He does. He was a dancer. He was a handsome Irish guy. He was very slick, my grandpa. All right. So he was on duty that night, and the guy that was supposed to do duty before him never showed up. He went AWOL. And so there was this mad scramble to find grandpa to take his place, right? And so when they found grandpa, he apologized to the captain on duty, even though he didn't have to because he didn't do anything wrong. He's still, Canadian. He apologized. And the captain said to him, because the captain was British, if you weren't spending all your time with that Canadian cunt, you would be where you were supposed to be. And so my grandpa punched him in the face. And this captain said to him, I would court-martial you, but it's D-Day tomorrow and you're probably going to die. And he didn't. He survived D-Day and he survived the Korean War, which was even worse.
Well,
and that's my grandpa.
He doesn't. Yeah, all right. He sort of acts first and thinks later. Then
Yeah, Irish temper.
he's Irish, or
He was Irish, yeah. I remember one time my mom said I went crying to her and I was like, why is Grandpa so mean to me? And she goes, he's just teasing you. That's how the Irish show they love you.
yeah.
So Dale says Huey is big with supporting the arts. He has slept through hundreds of Joy of Painting episodes. And then, oh wow, says Aston Martin. And Mutant Fox says, your grandpa is awesome.
Yeah,
and,
he was.
And so with that story, it is 8:30 my time, which means it is 9 or it's got to be 10:30 your time.
Yep.
And then it is 7:30 on the Pacific Coast. I am going to say thank you very much to let's say goodbye to the artwork first. Goodbye, artwork. And
that ink was wicked, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll pick up right where we left off next time. And thank you, Chuck, for doing this. You know, send me last minute of me going like, hey, can you do this? And
Oh yeah, no, I'm happy to.
It's been excellent.
Yes, and I appreciate it. And you know, I can't wait to get the panels, and I think it'll be fun and to put them together. And thank you so much for being on the show. Chuck Whelan, everybody, let me put up his captions so that you guys know where to find him. And that would be Chuck Whelan. He's a cartoonist, earthspace.com.
Instagram, I'm most active, but YouTube, Instagram or YouTube, I suppose Instagram's probably better.
And then TikTok.
Yeah, or Twitch. I mean, if you're here, Twitter or Twitch.
Yeah.
Wherever you're seeing this is probably good, yeah.
Yeah, and then TikTok is your new thing now, where you're.
Oh yeah, I'm on TikTok too. Yeah.
Yeah, you're hip with the youngins, and so I will say thank you, sir, and let me close you out, and then Miss Robin, thank you very much, and it's always good to be able to say goodnight to you at the end of the show.
I got my caffeine.
Yeah. We'll see you next week. And then everybody who joined us for chat today and Philo, and this is episode 44. Wow. We're going to be back next week with new artists, and I will see you then. Have a good one. Bye.